Jude Beckham moved from Europe to New Haven, Connecticut for college. Though he was a sophomore, he was taking advanced level courses at BII Yale. He belonged to a rich family, and after arriving here, he conveniently rented a nice apartment, found his way around the city, and started his classes. But it was the first day of his history course. He stepped into the room, unable to take his eyes off the professor. The strange attraction towards her was instant. The way she behaved, the way she dressed, the way she spoke, she wasn't like other women. Scarlett Levine, she was just beautiful. Jude looked forward to her classes, and throughout much of it only focused on her. He wanted to know about her. Was she married? Was she dating anyone? She lives alone. It was after a few days of following her, he got to know she had been working at the university for a couple years. She was 32 years old, wasn't married or had any kids. She was single. It was one of these days. After one of her classes, Jude was a bit surprised when she called him. "Mr. Beckham, may I have a word with you?" "Yes." "Have you been following me?" Jude fell silent for a while, realizing she must have seen him. "Yes, I have." "Why? Isn't it obvious?" "You've got guts, I'll give you that." "It's not about guts, it's my heart." "So this isn't infatuation, it's not lust, you think you've fallen in love with me without knowing me or anything about me?" "I think I know enough. I am much older than you, and you know nothing about me." "Know what? That you've been living a lone life since your boyfriend died about 7 years ago? You kept yourself away from happiness, punishing yourself for something which wasn't your fault?" "How did you know all this?" "I told you, it's about my heart. You think I fell in love with you because I found you attractive? It may have been attraction at first, but the more I discovered about you, the more I fell in love with you." "Now what? You're trying to be my savior, rescuing me from my guilt and loneliness?" "No, I want you to be part of my happiness. I'm absolutely selfish. I don't think I'll be happy without you." "Well, in that case, I'm not going to give myself to your selfish obsession." Hearing the harshness in her tone, Jude was hurt. But without a word, he watched Scarlett pack her things and rudely leave the class. A few days later, on her next class, Scarlett sat at her desk, watching her students walk in, all except for Jude Beckham. She didn't think much of it. But when a few of her classes passed and he didn't come, she felt rather relieved. He dropped out. Good, that's over. But even when she wasn't at the university, when she was home, she found herself checking out her window to see if he was there. But he wasn't. There was something about him that she just couldn't forget. There was a strange intensity in him, yet he was so young. It was attractive. When the days turned to weeks, Scarlett started to get curious as to how he was. And she went to the university office to try to figure what other classes he had. That's when she realized Jude hadn't been attending any of his classes. Feeling a bit guilty, Scarlett decided to go meet him. After her day at the university, in the pouring rain, she drove out to his apartment. On a rainy evening, Jude answered the door to find Scarlett. "Come on in." Scarlett was surprised by how casual and calm he was. She stepped in, looking around at his lavish apartment. "Nice apartment. Your parents must be very rich." "Yes, they are. May I have a towel? I'm all wet." "Sure." As Scarlett took a seat by the drawing room windows, staring out at the gloomy clouds scattered over the city, Jude arrived with 2 cups of coffee and handed her a towel. Scarlett dried herself as she passed a glance at him, watching her. "Are you not going to ask me why I'm here?" "No. I came here today to tell you not to drop out of college because of a silly infatuation. It happens with all of us. I used to like one of my professors, but believe me, you're young. You'll get over it soon. You'll find someone else, so enjoy your life." I wasn't going to drop out, and if I wanted, I could have found other girls and had those kind of fun, but that's not what I'm looking for. You're so young, but so intense. Enough about me. Tell me, why are you really here? I thought you weren't going to give yourself to my selfish obsession. I wasn't here to give myself to your obsession. I was feeling bad because I thought you stopped coming to college because of me. But now I think it was a very bad idea. I should leave. And being alone for 7 years was a very good idea? You won't understand. What is there to understand? That you're living a sad life because you lack the maturity to move on when something bad happens? Many things do happen in life, but you have to be mature about it and move on. Those last words of Jude really got to her, and that evening she spent with him. It's getting late. I should go. It's still raining out. You can stay the night here. Jude, I can't go to work like this tomorrow morning. Alright, so when are we going to see each other again? Well, if you want to meet me, you have to come to my class. And so, Jude and Scarlett's relationship began. He started attending his classes again, but of course, the couple kept their relationship a secret at the university. Professor, here are the assignments from last week. Nice work, Mr. Beckham. But in their secrecy, they also had their share of fun, teasing each other and passing notes. Here's your paper, Mr. Beckham. I hope further assignments won't be submitted late. You wanted to meet me? Yes, somewhere a bit more private. Professor Levine, may I have a minute? Yes, I'll be right there. Mr. Beckham, you were late. You missed the deadline. I won't be accepting delays next time. Sorry, Professor. It won't happen again. Scarlett started visiting Jude every day at his apartment after work, and Jude sometimes met her at her house, and the days were going by great. Wow, it's 11 already? Aren't you getting late? Yeah, I should go. I'm gonna miss you. Call me soon, okay? As their relationship progressed, however, Jude started to notice something odd about Scarlett. They had never actually spent a night together at either her place or his. no matter how late she was over or he was there. Once either of them showed any signs of being tired, she started her excuses to leave. It was always casual, but Jude sensed something more to it. And now, after 2 months of dating, it was certainly strange. "Jude, aren't you going to head home?" "No, I think I'm gonna sleep here tonight." "What? No. I sleep alone." "Why? You won't be able to control yourself?" "Yeah, right, like there's anything left to control." "Then what is it?" After a moment of silence, she said, I talk in my sleep." Really? Jude let out a laugh. "That's it?" "Jude, it's really bad. It's completely out of control. It's not just random words. I say horrible things." "I think I'll be fine." "No, Jude, people get scared. Last time I went home on Thanksgiving, my cousin was staying with me, and she heard me talking." "Do you want to be my woman?" I wasn't even aware of it, but she showed me the recording. I tried recording myself many other times, but I realized it only happens when I sleep with someone. "It's alright. My grandma was from rural Greece. I grew up listening to her scary folklore. I think I can handle it." The first night, the couple lay in bed together. Scarlett turned to Jude. "If it becomes too much, you can go sleep on the couch. Or I can push you off the bed. If you do that, you'll see my real wrath." So Scarlett closed her eyes, listening to Jude breathing beside her, until she drifted off. The next morning when she woke up, however, she was all alone. She hurried out to see Jude had slept on the couch. "Mr. Braveheart, what are you doing here? Was I too scary for you?" "No, you were snoring too much." Scarlett shook her head, chuckling. "Aren't you going to go to college?" "Not today. I'm feeling a little under the weather." "It's a good thing you're rich, because with all the absence you gave so far, you'll have to repeat this semester." That morning, Scarlett got ready and headed out for work. Around 7, she returned with some takeout to find Jude plopped down on the sofa. "Have you been slouching on the couch the whole day?" "No, I went out for a while." Scarlett noticed something placed on the coffee table. "What's this?" she said, picking it up. "Saw it at the store, thought it was cool, so I bought it." "But what is it?" Trying to figure it out, Scarlett pressed on the middle, and instantly 2 sharp blades sprung out, piercing her hand. "Ouch! It's a 2-sided knife. Could have told me before I pressed it." "Hold on, I'll get the first aid kit." After dressing up Scarlett, she and Jude had dinner and got ready for bed. "Are you sure you don't want to sleep on the couch?" "No, I'm good. Picked up some earplugs from the store too." Just a while into closing her eyes, Scarlett fell sound asleep. But Jude lay there wide awake, waiting for the right moment to step out. He slowly got out and went out to prepare what he needed. A piece of burning coal. Jude hadn't told Scarlett anything of what happened the previous night, but something horrifying had indeed happened. He was awake, curious to hear her speak, but the first part of the night she was silent, and he dozed off. However, around midnight, he woke up hearing a strange voice. It wasn't Scarlett's, but when Jude opened his eyes, he saw her sitting there, a blank expression in her eyes. He realized the voice was coming from her. "You want to have a share of my woman? I'll tear your skin and crush your bones." At first, Jude thought Scarlett was trying to scare him, But then he realized she was talking in her sleep. "I'll drink your blood. I'll chew the flesh off your bones." As Scarlett continued to speak, Jude was frightened seeing her eyes begin to change. This wasn't normal. And when she began to speak obscene things, Jude went out to the living room. But the rest of the night, she kept calling him in that voice. "Come back to me, Jude. I know you can hear me. Come here. Don't you want to be with me?" So Jude planned to take precautions tonight, and just as he thought, he began to hear her voice again. "Jude, come to me. Jude, be with me." Jude picked up the bowl and went back into the bedroom to find Scarlett standing there, staring at him. "You want to have a share of my woman? No." Jude took out the knife stained with Scarlett's blood and cut his own hand with it. As the blood dripped, Jude held it over the burning coal, watching every drop make intensifying smoke. He quickly placed it in front of her, but Scarlett couldn't bear it, and soon she fell on her knees. Jude watched the evil presence leave from her, and soon she fell unconscious. About 8 years ago, at the time, Scarlett, along with her professor and some other students, had gone to Greece as part of her history course. Of them was a colleague, Calvin, whom Scarlett was very close with. It was on the trip that one thing led to another, and they had started dating. It was one day, Scarlett was assigned a task to research a certain region outside of Athens. However, at the last moment, her guide had cancelled. But Scarlett decided she would go on her own. There, she explored the jungles and visited old ruins, and even found an old temple devoted to Asmodeus. But it was during her trek she realized she had gotten lost. In that area, there was no form of communication, and she was unable to find her way back before sunset. The following morning, Calvin had reported the authorities and went out to search for her. Scarlett was relieved to see him, but that night, all alone in the wilderness, had really traumatized her. "I was so afraid." "Don't worry, you're safe now." The last thing she remembered was going to bed with Calvin in the safety of their home. But waking up the next morning to find him lifeless in a horrible condition beside her. The police couldn't figure anything of what happened, and alas concluded Calvin's death caused by wild animals. But Scarlett always remained in guilt, thinking, if it were wild animals, why hadn't she been attacked? And if it wasn't an animal, then was she the one responsible? There was no one else in the house. After that incident, Scarlett returned home devastated, trying to move on, but she couldn't. Until she met Jude. Scarlett woke up, sweating and anxious, to see Jude sitting in front of her. "You're finally awake." "Jude, what happened?" When I was younger, I used to listen to a lot of folklore from my grandmother. She had once told me about a demon in the jungles on the outskirts of Athens. Asmodeus, a demon of carnal desire, extremely jealous in nature. When he becomes enamored by a woman, he possesses her and slays her partners 7 in a row before he takes her for himself. Last night, when I heard you talk in your sleep, I realized perhaps this demon had imprinted on you. The only reason it couldn't harm you or anyone else was because you had been single all these years. But it's over now. He's left you. Scarlett held her head as she let out a breath. A demon? I need to splash some water on my face. Wait. What? You're beautiful. Scarlett looked at Jude, smiling at her. I'll be right back. But the minute she stepped into the drawing room, she froze in fear. Jude lay lifeless on the floor, the bowl of burning coal beside him, and his hand bleeding out. When the spirit of Asmodeus had released from Scarlett, that Jude began to have trouble breathing. He barely managed to leave the room. But he passed away in suffocation. Jude, I told you! I told you! Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.